I'd like to start with a bit of a quiz. As quickly as you can, think of all the Mercedes-AMG models you can. At the very least, your list should include the GT, the C43, the S65 and the G63 out of a total of 14 AMG models from which to choose. Now, think of all the bad Mercedes-AMG models you can and you'll find that that list is significantly shorter because, well, there are none. Objectively speaking, every single one of those cars has its merits. But now there is a new AMG that threatens to spoil that. This is the Mercedes-AMG C43 convertible, and you know even without turning the key that it's going to be in for a very hard time. First up, that folding fabric roof means this car will come under attack from a lot of people and their preloaded ideas about convertibles. And that's despite it carrying a lot of AMG styling bits. Things like the quad exhaust tailpipes and the AMG treatment for the front end. But it is quite obvious that despite the workover, that this car is more about being pretty than aggressive. It's more about being seen than vanishing off into the distance as quickly as possible. If you want to blame that on anything, well, it's not because AMG didn't do a good enough job. It's because the convertible is based on the C-Class Coupe, a car that would be very difficult to make unpretty. Great proportions, superb lines and details that bring the whole design together perfectly. And the convertible, with its removable roof, just ups the prettiness. With the roof in place, it still cuts a great profile, and even the fairly boring white paint black roof combination fails to detract from the overall impression that this is a superb looking machine. If you're not convinced by the AMG styling job, you're probably not going to be convinced by the badge on the back either. It has a 43 where you expect to see a 63, and automatically that makes you think, well, it's smaller and less powerful, probably doesn't sound as good. And you're right. And then when you dig deeper, well, then you find that unlike other AMG motors, this isn't hand-built by one man. It's designed by AMG, but it's not built by them. And for a lot of people, that automatically means that this is not the real thing. Now, I'm not about to get into a philosophical argument about what a real AMG is or isn't, because for me the more important question is, does it live up to the things for which the name is synonymous? First and foremost, power. With 270 kilowatts and 520 newton meters, the twin-turbo 3-litre V6 has plenty of that. It also has a sub-5 second 0 to 100 time and a top speed that's limited to 250 kilometers an hour. But the best thing about those stats is the way that they're translated into the drive. Strong acceleration and an impressive build-up of speed, but it's never over the top or too much. It always feels exactly right. I rarely miss the chance to discuss the lunacy of most drop-top performance cars and how their power overrides the enjoyment of a convertible. But the C43 is different. You just don't get that sense of being smacked around the head by unbearable wind noise when pressing on with the roof down. It's also not cursed by that other convertible genetic defect, a wobbly chassis. It is remarkably solid, even over rougher surfaces and through tight corners. It feels good. The ride setup has got a rear-biased all-wheel drive system, a reworked front axle and adaptive dynamics. And a lot like the engine, it all feels like exactly what this car needs. And the rest of the car's systems play along nicely too. In Sport Plus mode, using the paddles, the 9-speed automatic gearbox delivers rapid shifts, and there's a lot of crackling and popping from the exhausts. Its motor may not be built by one man, but with the way this car comes together when pressing on, there's no doubt that it is an AMG. But it is still a convertible, and for the main part that will remain its primary attraction. But being a performance car means it has the necessarily stiffer ride setup, and that doesn't always sit well with a chassis that is less stiff in a car that will be used, generally, as a cruiser. But once again, the C43 manages to deliver a few surprises. Switch into comfort mode, let the car do its own thing, and you've got a very cushy drop top with top-class refinement. The interior is typical Mercedes-Benz, lots of piano black finishes mixed with satin chrome, great ergonomics and lots of tech. Not a lot of space for those in the back, but that's not an uncommon thing in a convertible. This is a space that feels good when you drive enthusiastically, but then delivers plenty of comfort when you want it to. When I first drove the Mercedes-AMG C43 convertible, my thoughts revolved around whether or not it could be a genuine AMG. It didn't take too long to discover the answer to that question is absolutely. And once I had that answer, I started pondering something else. Could it deliver real performance and the driving enjoyment of a convertible? And the answer to that question is yes. The most impressive thing about the Mercedes-AMG C43 isn't that it's a convincing performance car or that it's a very good drop top. It's that it's a brilliant balance of both. Power, grip, balance, and drop-top glamour, the C43 does a superb job of blending Mercedes-Benz style and comfort with its AMG performance. It takes two seemingly opposite recipes of enjoyable driving and combines them into a very enjoyable package. It's never overpowered by its performance potential, and it manages to remain comfortable despite the need for a sporty chassis.